When it comes to construction, every little thing matters. Even a tiny mistake, like getting the measurements wrong or skipping an inspection, can turn into a huge disaster. Now, believe it or not, there have been instances where little mistakes have ruined mega projects worth several billions of dollars, and in today's video, we will reveal 4 of the world's biggest construction mistakes. Let's check them out. Hard Rock Hotel collapse. Hard Rock Hotel in New Orleans turned out to be a total mess and one of the biggest construction blunders ever. First off, they decided to build this hotel on the site of an old Woolworth store from the 1930s. The place had been sitting empty since the 90s, and in 2014, they finally got the green light to tear it down and put up a new building. Demolition started in October 2014 with plans to finish it by 2016. But here's where it starts getting messy. After they knocked down the old Woolworth building, not much happened for a while. It wasn't until 2018 that they announced a partnership with Hard Rock to turn the place into a fancy new hotel. They were all set to have 350 hotel rooms, some swanky apartments, a fancy restaurant, event space, and a huge parking garage. Then on a Saturday morning in October 2019, while they were still building the thing, part of the structure just collapsed. 3 workers died, and tons of others got hurt. So, what went wrong? Well, turns out the structural engineer didn't do such a great job. They didn't design the steel bolt connections right, which basically meant the whole building was a disaster waiting to happen. Some of the workers had even complained about safety issues before the collapse. And in 2021, they found another huge mistake in the construction. The beams holding up the 16th floor were totally overstressed and way too small. Like, they were almost 300% over what they could handle. No wonder they couldn't hold up the building. The Teton Dam disaster. The Teton Dam disaster of 1976 stands as one of the most catastrophic construction failures in history. What was meant to be a feat of engineering and technology turned into a devastating tragedy, causing widespread destruction, loss of life, and economic turmoil. It all began on a picturesque June morning when workers at the newly constructed Teton Dam in southern Idaho noticed a small leak as the reservoir behind it was being filled. This seemingly minor issue quickly escalated into a full-blown catastrophe as the dam failed completely by noon that day, unleashing 251,000 acre-feet of water onto downstream communities. 14 people lost their lives, and the economic losses were off the charts, with initial estimates placing the total damage at $2 billion. The water wreaked havoc on nearly 300 square miles of land, messing up around 100,000 acres of agricultural land and 32 miles of rail lines. It killed livestock, 250 businesses, and 733 homes were wiped out, with another 3,000 homes taking a beating. Now, you might be wondering how in the world the state-of-the-art dam ended up being such a colossal flop. First off, the dam was plonked onto a foundation that was riddled with cracks in the surrounding wall rock. That geological mistake played a big role in bringing the whole thing crashing down. And if that wasn't bad enough, the design and construction of the dam were just plain inadequate. There were major issues with the internal sediment core, which led to some serious cracking. A new theory called state-based soil mechanics also suggests that when you've got super compacted soils with low plasticity, they're bound to crack under certain conditions. And the Teton Dam had internal cracks in not 1, but 2 locations. And this was as a result of low liquidity index, low confining stresses, and high shear stresses. It just goes to show that even with all the fancy technology in the world, a little thing like a crack can bring the mightiest of structures crashing down. The sinking of the Vasa. This 17th century Swedish warship was supposed to be the greatest ship on the block, but it turned out to be a total disaster. On August 10, 1628, the Vasa was all set for its maiden voyage, and the crowd was pumped, ready to see this mighty ship in action. But just minutes after leaving the Stockholm harbor, the Vasa goes down like a ton of bricks right in front of everyone. So what went wrong? Vasa was built with a tall, narrow hull and a heavy upper structure, and this design made the ship super unstable, especially when the wind started blowing. And to make matters worse, they didn't even bother putting enough ballast in the ship to keep it steady. The Vasa's design wasn't also properly tested before they started building it. King Gustav II Adolf of Sweden was breathing down their necks to hurry up and finish the ship, so they were under all this pressure to get it done quickly. And they ended up launching a disaster waiting to happen. Looking back, we can't really blame the engineers too much. Back then, they didn't know as much about ship stability and design as we do now. But it still remains a cautionary tale about what happens when you rush through a project without thinking things through. Hyatt Regency collapse. July 17, 1981, in Kansas City, Missouri, everything seemed okay at the Hyatt Regency Hotel, until suddenly the unthinkable happened. The second-floor walkway crashed down onto the crowded lobby below. 114 people lost their lives and over 200 were injured. But what led to this disaster? It all started with a fatal flaw in the design of the walkways. The original plan was to have 6 steel hanger rods supporting the second-floor walkway, but the steel contractor suggested a change during construction. They decided to use tie rods connected to the 4th-floor walkway, which meant that the 4th-floor walkway had to support not only its own weight, but also that of the second-floor walkway. This altered design put way too much strain on the 4th-floor walkway's hanger rods. They were now holding double the load they were supposed to, and it was only a matter of time before it crashed. During a tea-dance event with hundreds of people on the walkways, the connections supporting the 4th-floor walkway gave way, and both walkways came crashing down. Fast forward to a tea-dance event with a bunch of people on the walkways. That's when the connections supporting the 4th-floor walkway gave out. Let's know what you think about these construction blunders in the comment section.